Hey, what's happening? Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here, aka Hardest in Recovery, and I just want to do a short video. I just want to talk briefly about this whole thing of blowing up Venezuelan speedboats. This morning, I did a spoken word talking about Pete Hegseth and Mark Kelly, and it got me thinking. Now, let me say this first of all. I am a recovering addict. I have 19 years clean and sober. Since October 23rd of 2006 was the last time I touched any type of drug or any drop of alcohol or anything in over 19 years. And if anybody wants to see drug addiction and drugs eliminated from this country, it would be me. Because addiction never goes away. I mean, I still fight that battle every day. I still have temptation and cravings and all that. So I'd be one of the first ones to love to see this scourge go away. But what makes me angry is politicians pretending to be doing something significant when it's all just a show, and that's what I see here. As long as there's money to be made, as long as there's huge amounts of cash to be made transporting, distributing, making these substances, people are going to do it. As long as there's addiction, people like who I used to be will seek it out, and nothing will stop that. As long as there's a will, there's a way. As long as there is a demand, there will be a supply, and there's going to be people there to supply it to get that money. Okay, now I got some questions about this. Now, why Venezuela? Just briefly, like what drugs are supposed to be in these boats? Is it cocaine? Because cocaine is produced mostly in Colombia, mostly produced in Chile, Bolivia, and I don't know, those areas down there. So why Venezuela? Fentanyl, the precursors come from China. And these precursors they're needed and used in legal products, from anesthesia to fragrances to all sorts of stuff. And it's either turned into fentanyl in China or brought to Mexico, where it's mixed in laboratories and turned into fentanyl. So again, I asked this, and pot is grown some of the best pot in the world is grown right here now. Heroin. I was a heroin addict, but I haven't done it in 19 years. But from what I see now, I don't even know if it's popular anymore with fentanyl on the scene. Heroin comes from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and some of it can be grown in poppies, can be grown in Mexico. So again, I ask, why Venezuela? Why? Why? There's so many other places that have so much more to do with drugs and drug distribution and drug dealing than Venezuela. Why Venezuela? Some people might say for the transportation, because where Venezuela is situated on the northernmost, it's one of the northernmost countries facing the United States. Brings me to my next question. Where supposedly are these speedboats going? I don't know a lot about speedboats, but I can imagine these high-powered speedboats with one or more huge engines loaded down with people and drugs. I can't imagine it getting very, very good mileage. So where would it possibly be going? Another thing, 90 to 95% of all illegal drugs come into this country through legal entryways into this country. Cars and trucks coming through legal ports. That's how the vast majority of these drugs come in. Not by immigrants carrying it through backpacks over the desert, or that's how it comes in. So I ask again, why these speedboats? It seems like there's something we're missing here, something that we don't know that's going on. Another question, why don't they show? There's been like 21 missile strikes now on these boats, 22. Why don't they show any of the product? Why don't they at least capture one of these boats and show the product? You always see these drug busts with the drugs and the money laid out and the guns laid out all over a table. Theoretically, the Trump administration would get a hell of a lot more support worldwide and in this country if they actually showed, what they were trying to fight against, what's allegedly is supposed to be on these boats. But they don't do that. They never do that. Even with a missile strike, you figured that some of this stuff would be recoverable in the ocean. But no. It makes me think again that we're missing something here. Something's being hidden. Wait a second here. A little loud. Okay. So, in my opinion, these missile strikes, if there even is drugs on these boats, the amount of drugs that's being wiped out is one little piece of sand on a beach. Considering what's coming into this country, it's not making any difference. It's not stopping the people in this country. It's not stopping people's addiction, people's craving to get these drugs. People like I used to be, from waiting around a wad of cash, whoever could sell me this, and that's where this whole thing starts, or it ends. Depends which way you look at it. Blowing up these boats doesn't do a damn thing fighting addiction in this country. Not a thing. I think MAGA thinks it looks sexy. Big, strong America, missile strikes, blowing up boats. That's teaching them a lesson. It ain't doing shit. To people like that, to the MAGA crowd, they get off on that. It looks sexy. Killing people with big missiles. It's some kind of phallic, thing with their shortcomings below the waist. I don't know. But it's not doing a damn thing for addiction in this country. What does work is treating addiction. How many beds could they help people get with all that money spent on? Each Hellfire missile costs $150,000. Okay, so we're talking millions of dollars already just on the missiles, not counting the troop deployments, the battleships, and all that stuff out there. This is costing billions of dollars. How much treatment could be paid for with that money? That would make a significant difference. One day I started thinking, I haven't bought drugs in 19 years. I was spending easily over $50,000 a year. More than likely twice that. So in the 19 years that I haven't used, drug dealers and drug cartels, or wherever that money was going, $1 million less came from me. Just one person in treatment. $1 million less. If you want to stop, if you really want to do something about these dangerous substances and addiction and all this stuff in this country, treating the people is the way to go about it. That's how you stop it. That's how you make a difference. Like I said, I'm just one person, and that's $1 million less over 20 years that they got. I know that's not a lot of money in the big picture, but when you start talking about thousands of people in treatment each year, it could make a dent in the pockets of the people that are profiting off this. Just some thoughts. The way I got clean, after 14 trips into detoxes and rehabs that didn't work, I was using again within hours of leaving rehabs and detoxes. Within hours, I was using again until I went to a methadone treatment center, and that worked. I was a full-blown crackhead, heroin junkie, alcoholic, pills, everything. And not just the methadone, but the treatment, the urines, the counselors, the meetings, all worked to get me clean and sober. I was completely hopeless. I'll try to put a link. I'll put a link down below, because I actually did a commercial testimonial for the Methadone Clinic that I went to, and I'll put that link right down below. Please watch it. All right, let me know what you think about all this Pete Hegseth and his military missile strikes on these Venezuelan boats. Have a good Tuesday.